Payday 2 is a cooperative, action-based, heist-themed horde shooter developed by the Swedish Overkill Software and published by Starbreeze. And since its launch in 2013, it's gotten content, updates, fixes, changes, tweaks, and all sorts of new stuff constantly, pretty much every week. Between the launch of Payday the Heist and Payday 2, there was this web series, which is really just 6 really long commercials, directed and produced by Damon Lichtenstein, that set up the overarching story of the Payday gang, Dallas, Hoxton, Wolf, Chains. They were 4 criminals from 4 walks of life who firmly believe that the U.S. banking system favors the 1% and wants to take the money back from big corporations and banking institutions and give it back to the poor. Okay, that's a very fair backstory, and it makes the protagonists of the game well-intentioned extremists who favor the little guy, which, you know, the economic recession recently just burst at the time. It'd been a few years, and this played well into the first game's roots as an homage to Heat, Reservoir Dogs, Point Break, all sorts of crime flicks that happened to be popular with Swedish software developers in the mid-30s. I love this game. A lot. A lot of people love this game, and there are a lot of unfortunate implications thrown around that we should talk about. Because I want to get a grade. Is that selfish? The biggest and most egregious of these implications is, how do I explain it? Let's just put 2 videos together real quick.
Robbing banks with your friends is fun. Especially the ones that have been robbing the people blind. Some say we are modern day Robin Hoods. And others, they just don't understand that we have a choice.
Yeah, for a bunch of mad lads looking to disrupt the capitalist elite, they sure given to greed and got themselves some fancy toys. The message that the Payday crew is looking to flip the flow of money back into the hands of the poor is kinda lost when you can pull together hundreds of millions of dollars and buy yourself rare or otherwise insane weaponry like the WA-2000, a minigun, rocket launchers, 20 China Lakes, and that's a gun used to punch holes through several inches of sheet metal and completely destroy tanks, and you can just bring it to poke a hole through someone's face. Okay. How do you fix that? Well, if we're supposed to be giving money back to the community, let me front as a humanitarian. Spend my offshore money to fund restaurants, soup kitchens, libraries, or hospitals throughout DC. Use these fronts in the same sort of way Lex Luthor covered himself by helping Metropolis in the Superman cartoon, and probably other Superman things, I just know the cartoon. You know, there's no way that guy runs a criminal organization. I mean, have you seen the hospital wing named in his honor? And heck, you could even tie these donations into the infamy system, which is how you prestige in this game. Normally you'd have to burn $200 million of offshore money, but instead have you donate $200 million to these fronts instead of just getting rid of it. There, we're getting to give back, making it a part of the game, and it really doesn't impede the action. Let's just ignore that I could be gunning down the people I'm helping. That's, we'll touch base on that one. And while we're talking about the heisters, let's actually look at them. When the game launched, there were just 4. Technically 5 playable characters. Dallas and Houston, who at that time was just called Hoxton, which are both from Chicago. We've got actual Hoxton from England, but he was kind of in jail until 2014. Wolf from Sweden, and Chains from, the wiki doesn't say where Chains' hometown is. I mean, it mentions his background in the military, but the only real mention of a personal life on here is that his name is Nick, and he might have a lover in Sweden. Chains was the only black character of the original 5, which, 20%'s not that great, but hey, Payday 2 now boasts 22 characters. Surely there's more. Oh. So the game has that many playable characters. Only one of them is black, and we don't even know where he's from. And he's the Enforcer. The big guy whose associated perk deck, Muscle, ends with a perk called 800-pound Gorilla. Hey, Almir. What kind of message are we telling the kids?
Oh, hey heisters, I didn't see you there.
Okay, thanks Almir. Now, the solution I propose is kind of already in the game. We give him a good role within the team, and sure enough, Chains maintains our guns. He repairs them, he's good with them. And that requires smarts and precision. Granted, they made that canon like 3 years late, and it's just an animation he goes through whenever you're in the safe house, but it's there. Still, the game's only black representation, aside from the occasional black cop you gunned down, has no backstory, and he's the big Enforcer guy. let's give Chain some honest backstory. He's from New York, and he's always been fond of the machinery that makes these guns happen. His role as an enforcer, packing big, scary shotguns and making them stronger, is because he's capable of modifying them, upgrading them to be stronger, and he knows how they work. And his perk deck could still be about being the big mountain of hit points, sure, but instead we focus on his military training. Each relevant perk in the deck is named after a position in the military, leading up to General being the new name for the final perk. And heck, we could swap a couple other characters out that people don't really like to get more black representation in here. Rust is a biker portrayed by Ron Perlman, but he's only in the game because Overkill thought Ron Perlman would be cool, and he hasn't gotten any lines since his first introduction to the game. And the lines that are in the game are very tired sounding because they just kind of told Ron Perlman to do a cool guy voice.
Houston! That's the mark right there. I found the key card. Watch out. This is it. Faster. Faster. Hey, Wolf!
So, yeah, let's replace Rust as a character. Let's keep his backstory as a biker that betrayed his motor club and now works for the Payday crew. But now, let's just say he's a black biker instead. Heck, maybe even a black woman biker. Sure, yeah, you know what? Let's get Cree Summer to play an older black biker pulling out of the motor club and aiding the Payday gang in their next endeavors. And hey, she's an actual voice actress who is available rather on the regular, if her role in TV and film is any indication, which keeps her character's lines updated. Sorry, Ronnie, it's clear that the Fallout fandom's your home in the geek world, and also a bit of Hellboy, but they kind of stabbed you in the back on that one, so I'm sure there's no harm done here, right?
Hey!
Right. And hey, while we're talking about characters, let's talk about Sangres. He's this game's only Hispanic heister. This is barring Tony Montana, who is actually literally just Scarface as a playable character. Scarface. We're not talking about Scarface. We're talking about Sangres and oh boy. Sangres is an enforcer and hitman for a Mexican drug cartel who jumped the border into the US illegally to steal from the rich and keep to himself. And you know how Chains had a really solid role in the safe house, kind of repairing and maintaining and building the guns and such? Get this. Sangres sits around in his room, swinging his machete like Star Wars kid, or sometimes just lounging around drinking cheap beer and watching a TV that isn't even on. That's it. This is the game's only original Hispanic playable character, and he's a beer-drinking illegal immigrant looking to kill and steal. I get it, the whole Payday crew kills and steals to some extent, but that's it to his character. Rust, for as bland as he is, works on motorcycles. Houston's a mechanic, Dallas is the second in command behind Bane, who kind of just tells you what to do. Hoxton keeps track of all the files and information, Clover manages the security system, Sangres drinks beer. So, let's give him a job in the safe house. See, okay, so Dragon's got this punching bag to test your melee damage, but it's in a gym, and he mostly cares about your own physical prowess. He wants to get twiggy little Sydney capable of properly lifting the bar. She can get to putting weights on it later, but what about the gang's knives and machetes? And what about my dog freaking out? What about the gang's knives and machetes? Someone's got to sharpen them and maintain them. Let's give Sangres a hypothetical safe house animation where you walk in his room and he's just sharpening one of the knife melees, one of the, 50 knife melees, with one of those, hunter's knife sharpener thingies. That way you can at least say he does something. He has a role in the safe house. And as an aside, most of our foreign heisters are illegal immigrants too, and aside from them, we have relatively few foreigners in the game. I mean, we've got, the Butcher, who's Croatian, but she doesn't have any physical presence in the States. So you mean to tell me that illegal immigrants are here to cheat and steal Payday 2? Yeah, let's fix that one. Sydney was part of an Australian gang and then came to America illegally because, hey, if she did come in illegally, they would have seen that she was part of a gang and been like, nope. Heck, the actual backstory is she was here on holiday, saw the Payday gang robbing a bank, and decided she went in and was just like, hey, I'm gonna steal money from you guys. And then Dallas was like, ah! I mean, that's actually how it happened. So, what I have in mind is we kind of rearranged some stuff. Sydney was in Australia, she came to the US, became a legal citizen, went broke, and then had to turn to a life of crime and happened to be robbing the same bank Dallas and the crew were at. And she was like, oh, they got a ton of money, I want in. Bada bing, bada boom, their problem sort of kind of solved. Just repeat 9 times. And time for the big one, the actual violence, not just the money, the actual pew pew pew, bang bang, or whatever. So, a mechanic in Payday 2 is that if you kill a civilian, your contact will scold you, you'll lose some money, and if you go into custody, you'll have to be there for a bit longer. That's some penalty, and you can't just kill people all willy-nilly. Each life is special, and you must take extra care to keep each and every... Oh, right, that doesn't count the hundreds of cops you'll gun down. No penalty, you actually are rewarded ammo to keep yourself going, chain those kills together. Melee that guy, burn him down, just... blow them up with a rocket launcher. So how do we fix this? Well, the message here is that the cops don't deserve to get their own body scooped up by a cleaner who purges the records or anything. And we really don't want to make each dead cop deduct money from your account because that's just not fair in a heisting horde shooter kind of game. We gotta get a little crafty. How about when they start getting cut down like grass? They start a retreat, camp around the corners. Medics pull the injured out of combat and into nearby rooms. The heisters aren't in to heal them. Snipers set up to take you down from a distance. Tear gas or grenades are deployed to put distance between themselves, the heisters, and the objectives. I get it. Payday is an actionized horde shooter. You want to just run from room to room gunning everybody down. But this gives you a bit more opposition, it's a bit more realistic, and it ups the difficulty as a whole. And hey, Payday's fans are already gluttons for punishment. They played a game mode called One Down, where the gimmick was you go down in 5 shots and you can only go down once before needing a doctor bag or going to custody, and they complained it was too easy. Barricades, poison gas, enemies blocking off objectives and keeping themselves safe, picking off the heisters at range. These maniacs would fully enjoy that. And there we go. We fixed Payday 2 forever. Just need to add donating your computer money to virtual civilians, rename Chains' perk deck, give Sangres a job, replace Ron Perlman with a black woman, make Sydney a legal American citizen, make the cops go whoop-de-doop-a-doop, and there. That surely makes up for the Goat Simulator heist, Black Market update, 1 down Goliath shotgun, rampant power creep, The Walking Dead being delayed by 3 years, and Ulf Anderson leaving the company, right? It doesn't. No. Well, it at least solves a couple moral and or ethical issues, so it makes Payday 2 a slightly better game. Unless you're Rust.
Want me to break your fucking neck, asshole?
Okay, we're done here.